From the village of Mogotio, Kenya to the sprawling metropolis of Chicago, chasing a rewarding dream and coming back to change the story of our community back home. By giving life to tech literacy on children as young as 5.
Techlit Africa, my mama Africa.
The founder and CEO of Techlit Africa, Nelly Cheboi, talks to Youth Best. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's been a while since I hit your screens to bring you an amazing story. But then, of course, behind the scenes, we've been preparing things, amazing stuff for you, really. And as you know, of course, we always geared to bring you incredible, amazing, nourishing, and inspiring stories of young change makers, really, who are making bright spots of progress in our communities. And of course, that is why today's episode and edition is quite special, because my guest today, Nelly Cheboi, the CEO and founder of Techlit Africa, is dialing in all the way from Chicago, and that is why we are more than glad to be part of this. Share with your friends and tell them to jump in, be part of this, and as well, ask questions and just share in any insight you pick from this. But then, of course, the interview begins right now. Nelly, thank you so much for making time for our interview right here on Youth Base. Unakaribishwa sana.
Asante sana, what an intro, nice.
So Nelly, I know this is our first time we're actually seeing each other virtually, but then just like our viewers are curious, tell us, you're Nelly, you're the founder and CEO of Techlit, but then tell us a brief intro, how you go to how you grew up in Mogotio till you found yourself in the US.
Okay. My name is Nelly Cheboi. I grew up in Mogotio, which is near Nakuru. So it's 40 minutes from Nakuru on your way to Marigat. And I grew up just like this common stories you hear. I grew up in poverty, struggling with food, going to school barefoot. And just like so many Kenyans, I became so motivated to help my single mom. So I have 3 other sisters. I am the third child. And I became so motivated to help my single mom because I watched her really struggle to put my 2 sisters in school, and I was also doing the same thing for me. And I always wondered what life was like outside Kenya, what life was like. I was like, there's no way that every child in the world is worrying about food or cannot play. I just always imagined just like, it has to be different. I kept imagining it. And I used to live my life through textbooks. I used to read all the textbooks, like look at all the pictures, because I just wanted to like observe the world. Growing up that time, there was no internet, or I didn't have access to it. And so for me, I just really embraced education, because I saw that as a means to just like explore the world, and also a chance to, if I do well in school, then maybe I can help my siblings and all that. I did. I studied really well. I got 390 out of primary school, which is in a public school in rural Kenya, it was so great. I was the top girl in Koiba Tech district. At the time, it was just a district. Now it's Baringo County. And then I went to Mary Hill Girls. So Mary Hill Girls, over there, I was just struggling with tuition, like so many people are. I was always sent home. I was never in school, because I was just like, I'll stay there for a few days and then had to go back, stay there, had to go back because of that. Anyway, I still got an A out of that. And then from that, joined Techlit Africa, which is a program that helped women from ambitious background who did well in their high schools to apply to scholarships in the US. And then from Techlit Africa, I got to America. And then when I got here, I just...
What, a scholarship or what?
Yeah, a scholarship. Yeah, I came here for college. I got a scholarship to come to college.
Awesome.
And then from here, just then I saw how amazing just life is here, how different it is, how much opportunities people have here. And I became so motivated to bring those opportunities back to Kenya, because I didn't want like everyone to just like leave. I wanted to like, instead of like encouraging people to leave, I wanted to like, how can I change the environment they're at? How can I enrich the environment they're at, so they can have the same opportunities that I see that American kids have?
But what did you go to study in college in the US?
So America is a bit different. You don't have to pick what you need to study in the very beginning. You just join college and then you determine your major. So for me, I feel like you've had so many kind of times. Most kids say that they want to be a pilot. I wanted to be a pilot, and
Me
for
too.
18 years, yeah, I wanted to be a pilot. And then when I flew for the first time, I was like, wow, I don't want to be a pilot.
Nah.
This is awful. This is awful. And so when I got to America, just that reminder that if I had grown in America, I would have flown in my childhood. I would have known what being a pilot is like. And so when I got to America, I did not have I could not take piloting. Like I did not, right? I could not take aviation. And so I just was like, I'm just going to take chemistry. I was good at chemistry in high school. It's okay. So I did chemistry. I did chemistry for 3 years. I did not like it. I was just good at it. And then during that time, when I was doing chemistry, I also took another one called, so in America, you can combine various degrees. So I did chemistry and math. And then when I was taking my math degree, I realized I needed to take an introduction to Java for my math degree. Then I was like, wow, software engineering is awesome. So I dropped my chemistry major and then focused on computer science. So I switched my degree my third year. So I only had 1 year. So I got a computer science degree in 1 year, which is a lot of, it's been impressive just getting a degree in 1 year. Anyway.
But then what were you driven by? You were driven by what? You had a liking for, programming, Java, HTML, PHP, all those things, Python. I don't know. You had a liking.
Yeah, I think the coolest thing is that I had not known anything about software engineering, and for me it seemed so gratifying to just like do something and then it's like you're building a product and then you see the output immediately, which was different from chemistry, right? Chemistry, you may work so hard and then maybe you may improve like the boiling point of hydrogen by a decimal, but so like this one, it was like so impactful. And also it became something that I just really loved. I just fell in love with it. And it continuously reminded me that you don't know about computer science because you grew up in rural Kenya. You did not know why you wanted to be, you did not know what being a pilot was like because you grew up in rural Kenya. You don't know how to use the terminal. You don't know how to use the internet. You don't even know how to Google stuff, simply because you grew up in rural Kenya. No other reason, right?
Wow,
I was the most hardworking person I know, but I still did not know these things because the situation, like just by growing up in those communities, I was already at a great disadvantage. And that was just really sad. Yes, you can work really hard, but then if the environment around you is not nurturing, if you don't have, you're only as good as your environment, pretty much. And it became really sad that this is it for me. Like, I don't know these things. I know these things now, but it involved me leaving Mogotio to know these things. And I was like, this is not right. Like kids in rural Kenya needs to know these things. They need to know. They don't all have to be software engineers, but they need to know that these things exist. That there's more to your career than just like what you see, which is like a teacher and a doctor and a policeman.
Oh yeah, that is actually quite profound. Thank you for that. But then let's now go into now after you've done you majored in your software engineering degree. But then when did you get the spark and the inspiration to begin Techlit Africa?
Oh yeah, I think so. Immediately when I got to America, so I think it slowly snowballed. So when I got to America, I had my work to do. I had to make sure that my mom is comfortable because we were growing up in a house that was very unsafe. It was a slum, really, right? Where like it rains, it's just so unsafe to live there. We didn't even we didn't used to let anyone into the house. We were so embarrassed. We wouldn't let anyone into the house. And as a Kenyan, you know how that I kind of like paint a picture, right?
Oh yeah.
People are so embarrassed to let people into your house. That was our reality. And so when I got to America, and in America you can work, you can do, as a student, you can actually get a job. So I got a job washing bathrooms, toilets, on weekend. So I could only work 20 hours a week. You work 20 hours a week, you made 800 shillings an hour. But then you have taxes, you have like the cost of living. Anyway, it's not much money as it sounds. So I worked for 1 year and I saved almost 70K. And that 70,000 Kenya shillings, I bought a quarter of land because I wanted to build my mama house. and then it was like, then I realized if it takes me a year to just buy a quarter of land, it will take me forever to build a house. So instead, I decided to borrow like 50K from a friend here. And then I flew to Kariobangi South. I used to live near Kariobangi when I was going to college in Kenya Poly. I went to Kariobangi South. I bought furniture. And then I rented a pickup, drove all the way to Mogotio.
Wow, you're quite a hustler.
I bought everything. I bought a mattress, hata vijiko nilibuy, mattress, kila kitu, because
everything.
we had nothing to save from that house. The only thing we took from that house was just our clothes. And then we moved them to a rental that was 4,000 shillings a month. That rental was 300 a month. They could not afford to pay for that. So moving them to 4,000 a month, they could not afford to that. So I was now as a college student, now I'm always called home. I'm like, okay, nimefika time ya rent, like lipa rent, like tuma kitu, like, but it's not in a bad way. It's just because I brought them to this life, right?
Yeah.
They cannot afford rent. They cannot afford electrical bill. They weren't even paying electrical bill before. I just introduced that to them. And so I started thinking of like, how can I, because I think most people, it's a tangent, but most people say that, oh, most people go to America and they don't even help the community, or they don't help. That's because I think for us, especially for Kenyans, and like just everyone growing up in rural communities, it's just really hard to lift yourself out of poverty, to even look at your communities. Mtu akiomoka tu kidogo tu hivi, the community around is like, okay, lipia sister yako shule, lipia this person whatever medical bills, huyu mwingine ako na mazishi hapa, changa pande hii. So it's really hard to just get from just taking care of the basic needs to even look above your community.
Oh yeah. And
I realized that. I was like, if I'm on the hook to keep sending money every month to just sustain their lifestyle, I'm never gonna get to like what has driven me, which is like change the lives of the kids growing up in these communities. And so I started looking around. I was like, okay, what else can I do that I will not be on the hook forever to support my family? And then I went back home again in 2015, and I realized, you know what, my sister is a good teacher. I can actually build a school. I can build a school. This school will be a private school. We create jobs for her, and will also give me that chance to work with kids and try to provide those opportunities I wanted growing up. Like at the time, it was just so simple. Like I didn't have a kibembo in my school. I was like, you know, simple goals. And so, and so I had like 200K I'd gotten, and then I started like working. I had another and like 300K. And nikasema 300K ni mob. Najenga na shule vizuri sana. Ipo sikaishia kwa choo. Just kuchimba choo peke yake kakulea pesa yao. Yeah, in the end, like it took me so long. I really struggled, but then we had like four tiny classrooms that we marketed as just daycare, because it wasn't even compliant with the Ministry of Education. So it was just daycare and play group. So that's how we started. And then since then, that was in 2016, I've never had to send money home to support like anyone. I've never had to pay for my younger sister's school fees. I've never had to like pay for some medical bills or some chunk somewhere. They just like, they were good. They were really good.
Impressive.
And that's why like I started thinking about sustainable solutions to poverty, right? I can give you 50 bob today. You're gonna be hungry tomorrow.
Oh yes.
But if I can enable you to earn that 50 bob every day, then I'm good. And so combined with building a school and my new discovered passion for computer science, I started thinking about introducing, because I have a school, I have these kids. At the time it was like 100 kids at the school. I started thinking of how I can introduce digital learning, digital literacy into that school.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so I was like, okay, first I need laptops. So I told my friends, like a few of the friends, I had like 6 laptops. I told them like, you have an old laptop that is so broken, give it to me. I'll take it to my school and we can start this program. So initially it was just like, let's just go, let's work with these kids at the school. And so we were there, we worked with the Zawadi kids. The school is called Zawadi, named after Zawadi Africa, which is this the program I went to America with.
Yeah.
Started with a few kids, and then I realized, and then the school was closed, and I was like, no, we cannot just like sit here. Let's start working with the kids from the area, because I kept thinking of when I wanted a swing set, kibembeo nikikuwa mdogo, and we didn't have it in our school. But we can't go to any private school because the gates are closed. Only the students get in. Like, it's so secluded. And so, Anyway, we opened the program to other kids, and then slowly we realized. At one point, we were serving over 1,200 kids. Over the course of 5 months, we worked with over 1,200 kids, like about 300 kids a day. 300 kids a day, you're just coming in to use a computer. So we had only 16 laptops, and we have like 300 kids. So they were all taking turns, like 20 minutes at a time to use the computer. And then I realized that when we have this open lab, which is the program, we only serve mostly boys, because girls are busy with chores. Either they're taking care of their younger sister or brother, or they're wameenda kuchuna nyanya kusaidia madhe, or wako sokoni wanauza nyanya. So it almost became like it favored boys, because most of them don't have chores, but girls do. And so we started like thinking, you know what, we can get equal access in schools. So we started looking at schools. So like in terms of like Techlit Africa, it'll just be like, it's not like I woke up one day and I was like, oh, perfect, this is what we're gonna do. It's all no. It's just
it's been a process.
Gradually became that, whatever it is.
Because I mean, honestly, since we connected on LinkedIn, I've actually been seeing a lot of very inspiring pictures you've been sharing of kids and the computers. They're learning coding here and there. But then I know it's been a process, as you've said. It's been a process, step by step here and there. But then I know you have very precious moments that you have of it, coming to life. But then I'm just trying to once the time you began this, what did you want to achieve? I mean, is it because you're saying it on your non-profit that you want to build a digital, you want to build what, computer labs in rural Africa, so as to what does you want to achieve?
I think for me, like, even when I started, initially I was just saying that just them knowing that this is a computer, that this is what you can do with it, was enough when I started. And then I quickly, so I think what I'm really trying to do is that I am a software engineer right now. I get paid to build code and apps and mobile apps. And I am trying to see if I can recreate that with these kids. If I can convert my college education and my professional training to become part of who you grow up with when you go to schools in Kenya, right? If you just go to schools in Kenya and in the very beginning you start learning how to touch type, kutapila DJ ile ya kufanya sijuaje sana na hiyo. Kuna ingine inaitwa touch typing, type bila kuangalia, right? So that's one, right? So it's like, okay, they learn how to touch typing. They learn it around like class 3. From class 3 they start learning it. Actually, some of them are learning from class 1, right? Start learning how to touch type. And then I'm like, okay, now I want to introduce coding. Now after coding, now we want to introduce like creative stuff. We want them to start like knowing how to represent themselves online. So we build an offline application, because we cannot put them online yet. It's not safe for the kids. So it's all offline. But then we build a chat application that they can start chatting with each other. They were like, now they need to start knowing how to make music. So we teach them like audio stuff. Now they need to start knowing how to make animations. So we teach them with Blender. So it's like I look at my co-founder, who's an American, who grew up in Chicago, and what kind of opportunities he had, right? So most of the time I'm like, most of the times he's giving us inspiration. Like when he talks about like the things he had, how the things he had was by default because he grew up here. Then I'm like, okay, those skills, how can we
transfer them to back home?
Because he will say things like, oh yeah, you can just like make this animation. Like sometimes he looks at a movie, like we're watching a movie together. And then he just saying like, oh, that actor did not do that. Like this was like a stunt double. And I'm like, how did you tell?
How did you know that?
It's just like, he has just grown up with these things, right? Right. Like he knows like what is CGI, what is a black screen, what was a real, but I cannot tell those things. So it's just a matter of like providing those tools that enable kids to just be more intuitive.
And I think, Nelly, what you're doing is very important, really, because I'm actually one person really who's very passionate about academia and just trying to understand every day, because the CBC right now is on course. But then you have to, I saw actually you agreeing to, in one of your conversations, that, our school really is, is based on memory. Even me, I went to high school, I scored A's in, geography and chemistry and biology. But then I don't know if that knowledge is very relevant to me, because you said you can actually Google them right now. But then what you're doing is, when kids grow up with computers and they're learning coding, it sparks up their, their juices in their minds of, creativity and problem solving and critical thinking. So, I mean, do you think what you're doing is actually speaking to generally how education should be for kids to compete world class?
Yeah. I was doing CBC because CBC was cool. Like the whole ideas I had was like, then when I saw the CBC, I was like, okay, this is great. I really think, I'm really glad that the Kenyan government is switching the curriculum to CBC, because the old model was not working, right?
Yeah.
Like, yes, they made it look like, first of all, they were filtering people. If you do not get like above 370 from KCPE, that's not you're going to get A from high school. There's no way, like no single way, because you're going to go to a high school that doesn't have the resources to give you an A.
True.
Like that's just a given. And then if you don't get an A from high school or a B plus, you're not going to go to a public
college,
university.
Yeah.
If you go to college, it's so expensive. You can't afford it. Your parents are always on the hook to support you. And then even if they take you through that and then you graduate, you don't even get a job, right? And then the skills that you're learning are not even preparing you for the job market. And so I just think that it was really broken. And I'm really glad that as a country, we're moving towards CBC, because we just you need to learn how to learn. That's all. That's the summary. Teach kids how to learn, because you have everything now. You have the Google, you have YouTube, you can learn anything. You just need to have that mindset of you just need to look stuff up. You need to use Google, you need to use YouTube, you need to teach yourself. Nobody has authority on anything. You just teach yourself how to learn, instead of memorizing stuff and then
vomiting them during exams.
Pretty much.
Oh yes, so interesting part. I know you were in Kenya not long ago, and I've been following through your journey when you're here, I think for 5 months really. And take us through what have you been up to? I mean, I saw the story building is coming to life. I saw computers coming on board. I saw a lot of things happening, a lot of pictures. Take us through that.
Yeah. So when I was in Kenya, I had 2 projects. So now I have 2 projects in tandem, right? I have Zawadi, which is the private school that started. So Zawadi quickly became more like a community project, not just the kids, right? Yes, it's a private school. It's doing so well. The kids are killing it. But then I wanted to kind of also reinvent how private schools are done. Because private schools have resources. They have a lot more resources than public schools has, right?
Yeah.
But what is happening is that those resources are only used for the kids who can afford to go to the private schools.
Oh yeah.
Which is not. Like Kibembe, for example, you just want to talk Bembe, right? Need to close the gate because the kids are not from that school. So even when Zawadi was just the 4 tiny classrooms, and we had a swing set, we used to let the whole community come in. We didn't care. We can just replace the VO. That's not it's a cheap thing. And so over time, I started seeing when we were running the community programs, the open lab, because we were doing at Zawadi. There's this woman that came to me and told me that she was so embarrassed. She was like, I've never got a chance to go to school. I don't even know how old I am, right? What can I do here? There's no way that the computers are gonna what can I do here? Because I could not introduce her to tech because she don't even know how to read and write. And that I felt really sad when I heard that. And so I started thinking of how to accommodate more segments of the communities, not just the kids, but how can I accommodate the kina mama that are just staying at home and being in an abusive relationship, or how can I accommodate people who never went to school? And so I started thinking about including things like adult literacy. I think people call it Gumbaru, teaching Gumbarus, and then including things like vocational training, hair braiding and tailoring.
Yeah.
And so when I was going to Kenya in March, I came in March, I was going into building a Gorofa 4-storey community center, right?
Yeah.
Which the ground floor will have the school. The first floor will have like the Techlit headquarters, which is just like the tech campus. But then the other floors will have like things like your adult literacy, could teach Kumbaru, and also the vocational training. So I was there for 5 months. The building is done. We finished it today, like in terms of like just the skeleton.
The structure.
Yeah, the structure. And then we also already have vocational training. So when I was just talking, just like how you met me, a few people have already met me already. And one of them is the CEO of Darling, Darling, the hair brand. And they heard what we were doing. And he was like, you know what, I want to be part of the vocational training. And then they opened a hair school. So they opened a hair school. We're teaching over 25 women how to braid hair and, giving them real skills. And then we're going to start to work on them to provide them like salon experience and other that. So that's one thing. And then we're also, and then the main other thing I was to build the computer labs, right?
Oh, yes.
So, yeah. Yeah. So when we were there, so the last time I was in Kenya was in 2019. That's when we worked with 1,200 kids and taught them computer programs on the open lab. And so we came back to America to try to get more machines, because last time we were doing it with 16 laptops, trying to get more machines. It has become really expensive to ship computers into Kenya. Like to import 100 computers, we paid almost 1 million. The ones we're using right now in Kenya.
Wow, come on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like Kenya has various taxes on used computers. So anyway, so that's one of the things. But then when we got to Kenya in 2021, we had the goal, because we didn't get it last year because of COVID.
Yeah.
We had the goal to do 10 computer labs. So go to existing schools, identify a classroom, and then just put computers there with our own teachers. Awesome. And so that's what we're doing this most part, is that we went to 10 schools. We worked with over 4,000 kids. We have our own teachers. So we get just the community members from the area, train them, and have them like work in schools. Yeah.
So right now, I mean, how many kids have been directly impacted by, since you're here and you began? I think there's a good number, and I think you brought in a lot of actually laptops as well.
Yeah. So we have about 4,000 kids so far currently in our Techlit program. We are working on we want to build 100 labs next year, and so just if you're to extrapolate on that, we're going to be working with 40,000 kids next year with our 100 labs. And so we're just back here to collect computers. Yeah. So those 4,000 kids, that's the coolest thing. Those 4,000 kids, they are all from public schools. Again, we work with some private schools, like we don't discriminate. But the coolest thing is that they're all from public schools, right? Almost like 95% of them had never used a computer before, right? And so they're all using computers. They're all learning to touch type. So they're touch typing. And you see them, they're using really cool machines. They're using the MacBooks.
Oh yeah, yes, I saw the MacBooks. I saw them.
Yeah, it's like we're really fancy. Like we're not.
Oh yeah.
I'm
actually even saw on YouTube you were saying this is not a what? This is not a what ad? This is not a.
Apple commercial.
Apple commercial, because there were several MacBooks the kids were learning through, and I love the fact that you actually believe in collaborative learning, where kids learn within themselves, pressing things, and they are just out of curiosity.
Yeah.
Wow, I think that is very impressive. I mean, tell me, what are some of the high moments and the precious ones that you've had? I know you've been here you were here before you flew back to the US. You were here for several months, but I think you had amazing things. You highlights that you had here. You did even a song with some guy. It was amazing, really.
Yeah, Dogo Flower is one of our teachers, and I just want that guy to be famous. He's really good. I think some of the highlights really is so touch typing is very important to me. Like I learned touch typing 3 years ago, because I'm a software engineer. I had a degree in software engineering, but I could not even get a job because I could not type. Like I'm given a function to like write a coding function, and it took me like forever just to type the function, right? If you ask me to do the function on a piece of paper, yes, I can solve it real quick, right? But this is coding. You can't like code in a computer in a piece of paper. You have to code on the computer. So I could never, like I was just sitting in interviews, I look so dumb because I don't know how to type. So it took me 6 months to learn how to type, right? I really struggled with that. And so and so to see kids, when I was learning how to type, I think I was 25. I was 25 years old when I was learning how to type, like very recently. I'm 28 years right now. I was 25 when I was learning how to type. And to see kids that are 7 years old typing, like really typing, and it's not even just typing, it's teaching other kids who are older than them how to type. I have a really nice video of a kid that is 7 years old teaching her mom how to type.
Beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's so like, just like seeing that. And I did not know exactly how much we can do, right? I was like, okay, we're bringing computers, we're teaching kids how to use the computers, and they need to know what a keyboard is, they need to know what a mouse is, they just need how to play games in it. But to see that we're actually going as far as providing the skills that will make them work in a tech world, we're getting to a point that the stuff that we're providing, even the American kids don't get, right? We're providing such like a really, yeah, I know, we're over, like the initial goal was like, let's give them some opportunities. Now we're giving them way more opportunities because like those kids now, when they graduate high school from our Techlit program, they can actually be employed, they can be employed to work at the jobs I'm doing right now, right? We can like find them remote jobs because they'll have all the skills. Like they'll know how to code, they'll know how to type, they'll know how to communicate online, they'll know how to like pair program by the collaborative learning. So we're just taking like what we learned from being software engineers, like the skills that the market needs, and giving them to the kids. And the coolest thing is that we are doing that. It's not like a token project where we're doing it just once a week, or we're just showing up for a boot camp. We are incorporating that to be part of their learning. They are growing up with it. They go to school every day, and some of the things they do that day is learning how to be a tech person, right?
For sure.
And that is just like, it's amazing that that's what we're doing. And I'm like, I can't get over it. I'm like, wow. Like
yeah, in fact, because actually talking of collaboration, I mean, I actually saw you actually partnered with Code Your Dreams, to begin, those curriculums to just enable them be, top notch in there, growing up with those skills. Very important.
Yeah. Really, just like we're just like bringing the best. Like it's so cool. Like because you think like most people would normally think that, oh, these kids like don't have anything. Let's just bring them one closer, right? Let's just give them a laptop and then that's it. Just one laptop for the whole school, right? But for us, like we've taken from where they're at and like almost like 100x what they're getting.
Wow. And that honestly, I'm sure our viewers agree, is very impressive because, it is preparing them and giving them a very firm foundation for what is called, the digital economy and the tech world, where the world is going right now. But Nelly, I want to ask you this. Once, you're keeping on, your foot is already on the pedal, you're making impact already in your community. But as a person, really, what gives you the hunger to make all this change?
I think for me, really it's knowing how indignifying poverty is. Poverty is so undignifying. Like you look at the things that, if you look at all the problems that we're having, even if you look at a family, for example, in Kenya, if you go to stay with an aunt or an uncle, if you go to stay with a family member, you have to wake up at 5 a.m., wash vyombo, ufanya like all these things, just because this person has been kind enough to let you live in their house, right? Unafanya tu kazi kabisa, yani kazi yani ndio uoneshe kuwa appreciative, right? You see like and then even if you do one, like there's so many things about things like we are going. Sometimes you look at us and be like, what is wrong with Kenyans or what is wrong with people? But it's not Kenyans, really. It's just like poverty. Like growing up in poverty, you're not even starting from zero, you're starting from negative because it's anchoring you down, right?
True.
Like for me, even when I'm building Techlit Africa and I'm clearly making an impact, there are people who would just like be so angry at me or in Tukana too. They're like, what are you doing? Why are you like, they just like, they look at me and they're like, they just like want to kind of like to my face, right? Really, this is not like, I'm not like making this up, like to my face, because it's just like there's so many things about poverty that it's so undignifying. It's so sad. Even if you look at corruption, like corruption, yes, is so like it's so ingrained in people's life. And I think it's because like if these people were making more money, they won't need to like try to extract more money from you, right?
Oh yeah.
And I think like if I look at all these things, I think that most of the things is that I grew up in poverty, and sometimes I can see, like, here's an example. When I'm in America and when I'm in Kenya, when I get in Kenya, I have a different mindset, like the mindset of abundance. I'm like, no, like it's okay. I can give you like 2,000 shillings. That's not too much money, right? When I just land from America.
Oh yeah.
But then over time, like if I'm there for 5 months, the things I was thinking when I was 5 months in, and this I was thinking at the beginning, it's so different, right? Like I get sucked into the scarcity mindset. I get sucked into like just like the pains, and I just really think that poverty is so undignifying, and growing up in poverty and continuing to see what kind of things that happen, like how many people die just because they didn't get the right medication, or sometimes you go to the hospital, you are dying right there, no one is treating you because you can't afford medical bills, right? Like you look at those things. I look at how undignifying poverty is, and I see this as a sustainable solution towards it, right?
Oh yeah.
As I was saying earlier, it's one thing to just give someone money. It's another thing to empower them to earn money every day. And so I see this as a way to empower these kids to grow up and be able to like have these skills where they can earn money, where they can make an impact in their communities. And that's what the drive is. It's just like, I know how undignifying poverty is. I lived it and I see it every day, and I want to fix it.
Wow. And actually, I'm very happy you're already doing it, by the way. And your community, I bet, is proud of you, and your beautiful mom and your sisters as well. I'm sure they're very proud of you. Are they?
Yeah, right.
All right. So the beautiful thing of every time I get a guest on from any corner of the world really is and the fact again that they are young change makers. You said you're 28. That is, you're already creating ripples of impact. And here is just to wish you all the very best, as you progress on to make things better, even as you come in next year again to now impact like 40,000 young kids. That was gonna be, I think it's just gonna be pure magic.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh yeah. So as we get to just wind these up, so what are the prospects? What are the future prospects? What do you have in store? What do you want to do in the next plans going forward for Techlit?
Yeah, I think so. Right now, so at Techlit, we're trying to grow like 1,000%, which means like whatever we have right now, we're growing it at a percentage like 10 times. Trying to grow it 10 times, which is easier than 1,000% for some non-math folks. Anyway, and so we impacted 40,000 kids this year. We want to impact 40,000. Like that's the math. We want to 10x our impact every year, and so. And that just how that looks like is that it looks like trying to import like 4,000 computers instead of 100 computers or 400 computers. That's one of the things. Another thing it looks like is like going and finding like working with community members to try to be part of the change, So like right now we have 20 teachers. It's a matter of like getting 200 teachers next, right? So they can work in those 100 labs. It really just like what we're focusing on right now is just Kenya, like doing 100 labs. And then the year after that, it's going to be 1,000 computer labs. And we're going to try to go into our like neighbors like Tanzania and Uganda.
Oh yeah. Why not?
Yeah. The goal is Africa, right? And so we're just like slowly expanding out of Mogotio.
Wow. That is really inspiring to hear, and all the very best. So I want you to take just a moment to just, this being a platform that, shares intriguing stories of young people like you, who it is always, nice to hear from them, their dreams, what drives them, how they project gravitas and their hunger for change. Just speak to, young people out there, just share a word of inspiration to them.
I think you just, if you just start, that's all, just start. I think you never have everything figured out. And if you just start, you're good. I think I think it's easy to look at where you're going and where you want to be and look where you're at and get discouraged. But if you just start, things fall into place. So that's all, just start.
Wow, that is very powerful and really profound and succinct. So Nelly, thank you very much. Thank you very much again for making time for this interview. We so greatly appreciate. We wish you all the very best. Continue making the impact. It is creating already ripples that the community is very proud of you, and I'm sure everyone who is watching right now is going to be very proud of your work. So all the very best. Continue doing the amazing work. And to all of you who've tuned in, we want to thank you as well for following through the story of Nelly Cheboi all the way from Chicago. Be sure to subscribe, like, share this amazing story anywhere across your platforms, so that we can get more young people to be hungry for change. Because as I always love to say, the young people, in the words of Chinua Achebe, are the young suckers who will take over when the old bananas die. So the time is now. Let us act. Nelly, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.